told you that I was expecting a DLC trailer for DLC 1 within World War II coming today, still over a month away at this point, I would be lying. I honestly wasn't really thinking too much of it. I've been in Winter Siege mode, and maybe, sure, I guess it could be classified as close enough to be getting those sorts of trailers and everything, those first looks and previews, and the marketing will start to ramp up in the next coming weeks for DLC 1 entitled The Resistance. It's something that I just wasn't actively thinking about. But regardless, that doesn't change the fact that the world goes on around all of us, and we ended up getting the first look at the Resistance DLC pack number 1 for Call of Duty World War II earlier today. Almost 1 year to the exact date since we got the first teaser for Infinite Warfare DLC 1. But this time around, I think there will be more hype gathered through the next upcoming weeks leading up until the launch of DLC 1. But with this video, I want to talk to you guys today about everything you'll be getting within World War II's first DLC pack, that being The Resistance once again here, starting on January 30th on PlayStation 4. So that said, we ended up getting a trailer that gave us all this sort of stuff, a little in-depth breakdown, look at all that, and I'll put an annotation on screen or give you guys a link in the description, maybe both. But if you guys want to see the trailer in its full unedited format, feel free to check that out. Those links will of course be where mentioned, but let's jump into the contents of DLC 1, The Resistance. So that said, first and foremost, the big thing that you're probably going to notice throughout the entirety of the season of content for World War II and the DLC coming in the future is that we're going to have a slight change and adjustment to how we end up getting this content given to us in the quantity. Now, I don't mean necessarily anything will change and we're getting multiple more DLC packs, we're getting less, but the way that the contents in the packs are a little bit different. Instead, this year we're getting 3 maps of multiplayer across the board, 1 war map, which is a multiplayer map technically, but specific only to war, and 1 zombies map. So of course, still those 5 new experiences, but a little bit broken up into a different manner than what we're previously used to of just 4 multiplayer maps and 1 zombies map. So that said, this is something that we'll talk about a little bit later. We're gonna talk and discuss this idea. Is it good, is it bad? Whatever it may be at the end, but to get the stuff out of the way itself, the first map up on the list is one called Valkyrie, which the build's code name is Wolf's Lair, which you might recognize from a leak that happened from the World War II beta. This was one of those maps that a lot of people think that maybe it was supposed to be released at launch, but then was held for DLC 1. Regardless of whether or not that's actually the case, I personally think it just was not done in time, but the assets were there in the game code, so therefore it was visible, but not complete. But this one taking place at one of Hitler's compounds, it's going to be great for snipers on the outer rims, and then in the actual compound itself and surrounding the immediate areas, it's going to be dominated by SMGs and shotguns for that close quarters play. So seems to be a map that is going to fit a lot of different playstyles, maybe not every single one, but if you fit into those classifications, well, this one might be just for you. The next one is Anthropoid, in which it's an urban map as described with various different elevations, and one that I'm curious how this will play out compared to what we've seen in the past. With other maps that have had elevation to it in the past couple of years, it's often been because of the verticality aspect of the game, the exo or advanced movement if you want to call it that. But this one with boots on the ground, it'll be interesting to see just how much of a crunch location you'll need to be in to end up getting those gunfights off in a decent fashion and to have the upper hand. Not necessarily pun intended, but still, it fits. But from the footage we see, it looks like there once again is going to be suited towards all gameplay experiences. Nothing too insane, but going to be something that we can all kind of thrive on. The third and final multiplayer map across the board is one called Occupation, in which this is Resistance from Modern Warfare 3. To me, looks like a reskin and not a remake. It looks exactly like it was within Modern Warfare 3, but instead of anything that maybe changed around drastically, it's just textural reskins to match the thematic presence of World War II. Now, as for the war map, it's going to be called Operation Intercept, and it's comprised of what seems like 3 different parts, very similar to a lot of what we've already seen in the already existing war maps of Operation Neptune, Griffin, and Breakout. But the first stage is going to be rescue resistance fighters, and to me it seems like it's very similar to the escorting of the NPCs and exo zombies that we saw in Advanced Warfare, but of course just worked around a little bit different, but playing again into that NPC sort of inclusion within how the game itself will work. We get a little glimpse upon this at one of the non-gameplay scenes in the trailers, in which it seems like there might be 3 different cells in which you have to infiltrate, with 3 prisoners total that you have to help out and secure before moving on to the next position. So essentially just fighting for a position, perhaps say like the first wave of Operation Breakout, but then the second part you have to end up capturing radio equipment, and to me again similar to how Neptune had that in their objective. And then the third and final stage that we end up having detailed to us at least is to bring the fight to the Germans. Now this seems probably like it's going to be a capture or escort sort of thing, in which in the trailer we see the tank being escorted, so very similar maybe to the ending of Breakout. But that rounds out the multiplayer features. As for zombies, we got a little bit of a look of that. It's called the Darkest Shore, in which you end up going to an isolated island just north of Germany while hunting Dr. Straub. Now in this there's going to be a new zombie boss, and there's going to be a new hybrid weapon called the Ripsaw, in which it is a buzzsaw or a chainsaw above the barrel of the weapon itself, so ranged and close quarters melee it seems like. But the one thing that the community is absolutely abuzz by is the sort of meme that was recognized by Sledgehammer, in which there's literally going to be fog rolling in within this zombies map. It's no longer just a little joke that haunted Blundell with transit, but now it's actually something that continues on the legacy of the rolling in fog with this new zombies map, the Darkest Shore. Now, it looks awesome. If you guys have played zombies, I know a lot of you guys might not necessarily care too much about zombies. A lot of my audience is for multiplayer, but zombies itself, if you have not tried it out, definitely give it a shot, because it is a lot of fun. It is creepy, it is eerie, it keeps you on the edge of your seat, and I think that even though while people hold Treyarch zombies on this pedestal, I think that in its own right, World War II Zombies is absolutely fantastic. Now, apart from the main core stuff that we're going to be ending up getting, those 3 maps, the one war map and the zombies map, there were 2 other things that stood out to me within this trailer that we ended up getting. Firstly, it looks like we're gonna have new customization items, which very well could mean that we'll have another Quartermaster updates at this point in time of the DLC 1 launch. Now, I can't remember off the top of my head if DLC 1 for Infinite Warfare also yielded different variants and other things, a part of the Quartermaster collections as well, but it seems like once again we could have some new customization coming in either just before, just after, or maybe coinciding with the launch of DLC 1. Now personally, I don't know where I stand on that one just yet. I'm not entirely sure if I want a ton of new stuff added in or what, but I guess it's not up to me, and time will tell just exactly what this means. And the final thing out of this trailer that I pulled was there was a shot of more development of Butcher as the Quartermaster. Now, this possibly could just be dealing with the Winter Siege event and finishing off the animation and completion of the Butcher character model in all his likeliness in the headquarters, because all these trailers and everything, they're filmed probably about 2 weeks before they actually go live. So all this stuff is already made, it's already edited and all that kind of stuff from a couple of weeks ago or leading up until when it ends up going live. So this isn't stuff that was filmed, say, yesterday at the studio. But it's interesting because I would figure at least around that 2-week mark, they'd either be done with the Quartermaster or they'd be working on future updates. So why there would be different changes and animations to Butcher if he's not going to be the Quartermaster afterwards, I don't know. It's something that just caught my attention and I felt kind of odd about, so I wanted to bring to your attention, but I guess it could be something that is completely nothing. Now, all that said, that is the contents that you could probably pick out from this new trailer. I am personally very excited for DLC 1. I always like to have new stuff on the table and to be able to play around with, so maybe that's just me. You guys, of course, are totally allowed to have your own opinions on this and totally cool, whatever it may be. But the one thing that I want to discuss before we wrap this video up is the formats of these content packs coming out within the next year. I, for one, I guess, am kind of on the fence right now. I'm still trying to let it soak in entirely that we have only 3 multiplayer maps across everything within all the modes in World War II. We have 1 war-specific multiplayer map, and then we have zombies. Now, granted, this is something that, when it comes down to the sheer developmental process, it might actually even be more work, because war is essentially 3 maps in 1, or 4, depending on how many stages you end up having in each war map. But one thing that is just interesting is that not everybody really plays war, and some people don't even like war, so some people think that, well, they're not getting as much as what they had hoped for whenever they're still paying the same amount as getting more compared to last year. So I guess it's something that I'm still letting this try and sink in before I have a firm, solid opinion opinion on this because I'm still kind of just lukewarm on it. I don't really care, but I also understand where people care. But that said, I want to gauge your thoughts and feedback here on it because it definitely is an entirely different format compared to what we've seen previously, and for the sake that only one of these maps is available in one specific mode in the multiplayer aspect, it is, of course, much different, and I understand where people are frustrated. So that said, I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. I'd love to get your thoughts and feedback down there in the comment section down below. Did you guys like the trailer? Are you guys excited for DLC 1 coming January 30th to PlayStation 4 first within World War II? Do you guys have anything to say with 3 maps, 1 war, 1 zombies? Whatever it may be, feel free to let me know down there in the comment section down below. But I want to thank you guys all so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, make sure you drop a like down below. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want to help me out on the road to 100,000 subscribers and want to stay updated with anything we have here regarding World War II, anything regarding tips, tricks, news, best class setups, DLC content like this, we got you covered here up on the channel. So if any of it interests you, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a beat. And finally, if you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, that's the best place to get connected with me outside of YouTube. I practically live on Twitter. So if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, link is down there in the description below. But all that said and out of the way, hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thanks so much for watching. Mine is an espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.